Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Episode 5 of Loki is here, so let's talk spoilers. So I've been really enjoying Loki so far. I thought episode 3 was a little bit of a step down, but I really enjoyed 1, 2, and 4. So I was really looking forward to this episode to get more answers, to see how the plot is going to progress. So before I tell you what I thought about it, tell me down below in the comments, what did you think of episode 5 of Loki? And what are your expectations for the finale based off of this episode? I'd love to know your thoughts. With that said, let's get started with my spoiler review. So I thought this episode was really solid. It wasn't the best episode yet. It wasn't the worst episode yet. That was easily episode 3. But I still thought it was really good. It was enjoyable. And it did a good job of entertaining me and furthering the plot in an interesting way. So basically, this episode picks up where the last one left off. So we learn that the pruned people are not actually killed, but they're actually sent to this alternate world place, basically where everything's destroyed and nothing can cause a variation in the timeline because this isn't part of the timeline. Basically, Loki, we see in the last episode, he wakes up and there's a bunch of alternate versions of Loki, and I thought this place was really fun. Of course, in the last episode you saw classic old Loki, alligator Loki, kid Loki, and this other version of Loki that's holding the hammer. I don't know what his name is, but yeah, those were the Lokis that we saw. But throughout this episode, we see another one, President Loki, who I thought was a lot of fun. He had a great personality, and for the little time that he was on screen, I really enjoyed him and I wanted to see more of him. So basically, what we're trying to do here is there's a big monster cloud thing, and basically what we're trying to do is Loki is trying to get past that to see who's actually behind the Time Variance Authority and who's controlling the strings of the TVA and the actual timeline. So throughout this, they basically go on a journey. They're looking through stuff, and this episode is full of Easter eggs. There's a lot of fun nods to the comics and stuff that I probably didn't notice. I noticed very few, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot more than just the ones I've seen. The ones I remember seeing are Frog Thor in like a cage thing, which I thought was fun. And of course, we also saw the Thanos copter. I thought that was fun. And there's just some cool nods to the comics throughout the episode like that. I also really enjoyed Alligator Loki in this episode because he's a reptile. You can't make any facial expressions. So whenever you cut to him, he just looks the same. And whenever like someone says something, they always cut to him like pretty frequently throughout this episode, and it was just funny every time we saw his face because he doesn't have any reaction to anything other people are saying. So I thought that was funny, and there were some other jokes, running jokes throughout the episode like that, which I really ended up enjoying. My favorite alternate version of Loki was the classic old Loki. I thought he had a great presence throughout the episode. The actor that plays him, Richard E. Grant, I thought did a great performance, and just I could buy him as an older version of Loki. So there's this one scene where he tells our Loki about what happened to him, and basically what he did was, instead of dying in the hands of Thanos, he went to a planet where he just was alone by himself and just left the actual universe alone so that he doesn't affect anything in a negative way. Now, I think this is foreshadowing what's going to happen to our Loki. I think basically what he's going to do is, by the end of the season, he's going to survive and maybe go to a place by himself and maybe with Sylvie and just leave the rest of the universe alone, so that way the universe could be peaceful and he could have a peaceful life. That's what I think is going to happen. I think that's foreshadowing. Maybe not. Maybe that's not what's going to happen, but we'll see when we get to the end of the series. Also, at the end of last episode, we see that Sylvie is still at the TVA with Ravonna, and basically she's trying to get information out of Ravonna, and for a while it seems like Ravonna is cooperating with her, but she's not actually cooperating. She's trying to capture Sylvie. So basically what happens is a bunch of TVA agents show up, and when that happens, Sylvie uses the pruning thing and prunes herself. So basically, when she prunes herself, she takes Ravonna's TVA pad so that she could teleport and transport anywhere she wants. And I thought that was kind of smart because that way if you just go to this place, you can't escape there. But if you have the TVA pad, then you can. And we also learned that Ravonna didn't actually know that the timekeepers were just mindless androids. She actually thought the timekeepers were the real timekeepers. So to her, that was just as much a surprise as it was to our main characters, Loki and Sylvie. So anyway, once Sylvie goes to the place once she gets pruned and she goes to this apocalyptic place, basically the big monster cloud thing is almost catching up to her. So basically what happens is Mobius shows up in a car and Sylvie goes with him. So it seems like Mobius is also got pruned in the last episode, so he's at the same place where Loki and Sylvie are. And basically what they plan to do is the same thing what Loki plans to do. They try to go up to the cloud thing, enchant it, and then basically what they do is they find a way to see who's behind the TVA and who's controlling all the things. I thought that was kind of convenient. There's a lot of convenient things that happen throughout this episode. So basically just both of them getting the same plan at the same time. I thought that was a little too convenient. I feel like they could have done a better job with that. But whatever. So when both of them are going to execute their plan, they meet up. Mobius and Sylvie, and Loki and the other Lokis. So Kid Loki, Alligator Loki, and Old Loki are with them. But basically what happens is they tell them that they want to stay in this place because they kind of got used to it and now this is their home. So they want to just stay in this apocalyptic planet and not leave. And Loki and Sylvie are doing their thing, and Mobius leaves and goes to the TVA, and basically what he says is he's gonna burn the TVA to the ground. Once that happens, Loki and Sylvie go to execute their plan, so they go up to the cloud monster thing. I'm not gonna call it that. Let me just look up its name for a second.
A few minutes later.
Alright, so basically its name is Eliath. I don't want to call it the cloud thing anymore, so I'm gonna call it Eliath. So they go up to Eliath and they try to enchant it, but it's too strong. So what happens is old classic Loki shows up. He basically distracts Eliath so that way Loki and Sylvie can actually use their powers and they destroy Eliath. Once that happens, a portal opens and there's basically in the portal, it looks like a house. And once I saw the house, it reminded me of Doctor Doom's house from the Avengers Assemble show that I used to watch as a kid. But as much as it looks like that house, it's probably not because it doesn't make sense in the context of this show. It doesn't make sense if Doctor Doom ends up being the villain. But maybe he is. Who knows? We're not going to know until the finale. So then the episode ends and there's no post-credit scene, which I didn't expect. I actually thought there was going to be a post-credit scene. So yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. One thing I was disappointed by was the fact that they didn't reveal the villain. I feel like if they revealed the villain, it would have been much easier to put an end to the show in the finale, because it's going to be hard to introduce the threat and destroy the threat and put a satisfying ending in the same episode. What worked with WandaVision was that they introduced Agatha as the villain 2 episodes before the finale. But here, they didn't introduce the villain yet. We don't know the main threat. So because of that, there may be some problems that the finale may face, but we won't know for sure until we actually see it. Maybe they will handle it in a great way. So yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. There were a lot of great Easter eggs, nods to the comics. There were a lot of funny moments, and it was probably the most entertaining episode so far. I won't say it's the best because it doesn't do some of the best things with the plot. I do think it could have moved the plot forward, introduced the villain, but this was probably the one I would rewatch the most. It's the most entertaining, and there's just a lot of cool stuff going on throughout. I just wanted to mention, I'm really starting to warm up to Sylvie because in episode 3, I didn't like Sylvie at all. I didn't think she was good. Her character just didn't work for me. But in the last 2 episodes, episodes 4 and 5, her character is much better and I'm enjoying her a lot more. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this episode of Loki. Be sure to comment down below, what did you think of this episode? And who do you think is the main villain? I still think it could be Kang the Conqueror. Maybe an alternate version of Loki. I think that could be really cool. And I'm just really excited to see where this whole thing goes. And while you're down there, if you enjoyed my review, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more content. I'll see you next time. Bye.